What did Cain say to Abel? Murder has been a part of the human experience since time immemorial. The story of Cain and Abel is the first to capture it. Its ancient roots make it a crime of greater significance, one that emphasizes its unforgivable nature. The story recounts the special responsibility given to Adam and Eve by God to care Garden of Eden. Sadly, this responsibility was marred when the serpent tempted Eve to consume the forbidden fruit, which she then also gave to Adam. This act of disobedience caused them to be expelled from the garden, and to experience the consequences of their sin, including pain in childbirth and labor at work. After being removed from the Garden of Eden, Adam and Eve moved to a place called the land of Nod. There they had their firstborn son, Cain, whose name translates to acquired or obtained. In response, Eve exclaimed in joy. Genesis 4 verse 1. I have acquired a man with the aid of God. Cain was the firstborn of Adam and Eve. They formed the main characters of their unique story. Cain was a farmer and farmed to provide food. It's remarkable to think that such an important narrative revolves around these two historical figures. When he and his brother Abel brought their offering to God, Cain brought part of the produce from his crop, while Abel brought part of the firstfruits. We went. At the beginning of the Bible, it is told about the murder of Abel by his brother Cain. Abel was favored by God for his effort in bringing the firstborn lambs of his flock as an offering. Meanwhile, Cain's offering of the fruits of his land didn't find favor with God. Despite the warning from God and being promised redemption, Cain still chose to commit a heinous act of violence against Abel. God showed mercy and gave him the hope that he could redeem himself should he choose to make reparations for his sins. But why? It seems the motive for the murder is jealousy. Cain was vainly jealous that God did not accept his offering. But apparently, the story is more complex than we think. Right before Cain kills Abel in the field, the Bible describes a conversation that took place between Cain and Abel. And Cain said to Abel his brother. But surprisingly, the verse chooses to interrupt the story and skip to its tragic end. The content of the conversation is not visible, so it can be understood from this that it preceded the murdersome argument between the brothers, and he is the one that led to the act of murder. What was the exchange between them in that meeting? Inheritance dispute. Cain and Abel, who at that time were the only humans on earth, decided to divide the ownership of the world between them. They agreed that one would take all the lands and the things that grow from them, and the other all movable objects such as animals and the like. Thus, Cain became a farmer, and Abel a shepherd. But then it turned out to be an impossible division. Cain says to Abel, "The ground you stand on is mine." Abel replies, "What you are wearing is mine. Undress." And he demanded, "Flower in the air and don't stand on the ground." This is how the argument between the brothers went, during which the murder took place. Quarrel about a woman. Some believe that the disagreement between Cain and Abel was over a woman they both wanted to marry. Interestingly, Cain had only one twin sister while Abel had two twin sisters. They both married one, but an argument ensued when they both desired to wed the other sister. Cain claimed that he was the eldest, and therefore it was his right, while Abel claimed that she belonged to him because she was his twin. The unbeliever versus the believer. Cain and Abel had a theological debate. Cain felt that he was wronged by the fact that his offering was not accepted. And he claimed to Abel that only because of the partiality of his sacrifice was willingly accepted. That God does not consider the good deeds of men, and does not lead the world in justice and righteousness. On the other hand, Abel replied that God leads the world in justice and judgment, and his offering was accepted only because his actions are truly better. Genesis 4 verses 11 to 12. God said to Cain, "Now you are under a curse and driven from the ground, which opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth." Cain was afraid of the repercussions of his actions, and God acted by providing him with protection. Some believe it was in the form of a physical mark on his body, while others suggest it could have been a symbol or sign representing God's protection. Whatever it was, this divine intervention allowed Cain to be safe from harm. As means of identification either way, the sign was meant to show that God was protecting Cain, and that no one should harm him, demonstrating God's mercy despite the severity of Cain's crime. This also served as a warning to others not to seek revenge against Cain, since this action would be an offense against God's protection. Genesis 4 verse 13. Cain said to God, "My iniquity is too great." Meaning, my iniquity is so great that it will be difficult to forgive to him. Apologizing for his actions while understanding what he did. After admitting his actions and apologizing, he also realized that he was very vulnerable, without a permanent place of protection or shelter because he was punished by wandering. God gave Cain the mark as a sign that he should not be harmed, and anyone who harms Cain will be punished 7 times more severely. God did not kill Cain according to the principle of measure for measure, because it was the first murder. Therefore Cain did not know what is murder, its causes, and its consequences. And that's why his punishment was reduced. Or perhaps not killing Cain and giving a sign on him, and the punishment of the wanderers, by having Cain in his wanderings move from place to place. The message of the prohibition of murder, and the punishment expected as a result will be spread. Cain fathered children, and founded the first city mentioned in the Bible, which he named after his son Enoch. The offspring of Cain were Enoch, Cain's son, and in his name Cain founded a city. After giving birth to Enoch a son, Enoch walked with God and was taken to heaven, making him one of the few people in the Bible who did not die. Irad, son of Hanok and father of Meshuel. Makoil, son of Irad and father of Metashel. Methuselah, the son of Mahoil and the father of Lamech. Lamech, 7th generation from Cain. Lamech had 2 wives, Ada and Sila. He had a heavy heart, and thought that Cain was an animal worthy of hunting. He rejected him and killed him. After standing up for his mistaked out, he clapped his hands in sorrow. But since he was heavy-sighted, he did not see that his son Tubal-Cain was in front of him, crushed him, and killed him. After this disaster, he said to Mech, Genesis 4 verse 23, "For I have killed a man for my wounds and a child for my company." Lamech is expanded, and his answer is clear. I have done nothing because of which I or my seed should be harmed. Cain killed and was punished for 7 generations. I don't need to worry at all, because I didn't kill. Lamech's words saying, because I killed a man for my wounds and a child for my company, are clear and simple. I killed a man and I killed a child. The Bible does not record the death of Lamech's son Cain Label, but because of the refusal to bear him any more children, it seems that he killed his son. Therefore, Lamech's wives bravely stood up to him. And this ultimately led to the end of the Cain dynasty after 7 generations due to their choice not to bear children forever. And so ends the Cain dynasty.